So I was sitting down listening to the Gathering Troubleshooting Information Part 1, which I had intended to be the only part of the gathering troubleshooting information in this series. And I was listening and I thought, I'm on speed. Like the entire video, I was just talking as amazingly fast, and then I thought, oh, I didn't show him that, and I totally missed that whole section. I kept listening to myself thinking, Jeremy, what are you thinking? And I thought, well, I got to re-record that. And I thought, well, no, it's good. It provides a good overview, but we need a non-speed inspired video, meaning just unplug and show the core of what gathering troubleshooting information is all about. In the sense that I would now call gathering troubleshooting information part 1, I guess, the 10,000 foot view. But now I really want to dive into the real-time monitoring tool, unplugged, in the sense that you saw it in the last video, and it probably flashed up before your screen even time had to refresh. I minimized it, and I'm on to the next tool, and I thought that's a huge tool, and that's one of your core tools for troubleshooting in Call Manager 5, 6, and 7, because you don't have access to a lot of the operating system. So I want to revisit that. Same thing with trace files. I think I threw a trace file up and said, wow, isn't that intense? And then minimized it, and I thought, you know what, we need to see more of that. Look at me, I'm self-deprecating here. I'm criticizing myself because I really want to dive into that. So again, 10,000 foot view last video. This time I want to take a closer look at trace files and really start analyzing them using the Cisco Voice Log Translator. Now, my intention is that since this is going to be down in the nitty-gritty, this is the only slide. In the sense that I've shown you the 10,000 foot view, what gathering troubleshooting information is about. The rest of this, I want to bring up the live tools like the real-time monitoring tool, trace files, the voice log translator, and start showing them to you one by one in depth. Well, let's start off with the real-time monitoring tool. As I mentioned, this is your tool, the tool that Cisco gives you in Call Manager 5, 6, and 7 to really check out your system performance and monitor your servers. And well, there's actually a lot that this tool does. Now, it was around in Call Manager 4, but it wasn't so super critical because you had Windows. I mean, you could get to Performance Monitor, Task Manager. There's a lot of Windows utilities, event viewers that you could get into to see what was going on. Well, in Call Manager 5 and 6, they've really locked that down because you can't get to the underpinning operating system of Linux. So this is our tool. This is our graphic interface. Now, I mentioned this in the previous nugget, so you've seen the interface before, but now I want to really dive deeper into it and go through each area of it. Now, depending on what version of Call Manager you're running, you may have a different look and feel to this. Like some of the older versions actually has more of these tabs, like you can see the System tab and the Call Manager tab, and less items per tab. Now with this, I actually like this a lot better. They have just 2 tabs and a lot of items per tab to really boil it down. First thing that you'll notice when you look at it is that you have the system summary. This is your heartbeat of your system, showing the virtual memory usage, which relates directly to memory usage. The more memory you use up, the more virtual memory gets used, and the slower your system runs. So we want to keep that value low. Same thing with CPU usage is how your processor is handling, and then your disk space. Now underneath here you'll see I have all these alarm histories. This is a alarm alert anytime something happens on my Call Manager, which is happening a lot. And the main reason why is because I'm almost out of disk space. When I provisioned this is running on a VMware server. I didn't make the partition big enough. Well, not big enough for a production server anyway, but for a lab environment it works just fine. And you can see my common usage up here is pretty packed. So this gives you an idea of what's going on with your system. And I'll drop down here and double click on this guy. CPU and memory just focuses on the virtual memory and CPU usage. Now this is directly the same as the system summary, and the main thing I want to show you here is notice as I double clicked on this, it opened another little tab on the bottom. So it keeps the tabs running of what you're currently looking at, and you can flip between them. It also gives me a pointer to let you know that this is a real-time monitoring tool. The name. It's not historic based, meaning this is as you're looking at it, let's get a pulse of the system. But when you close things, you lose what you had. For example, let me, I'll right click on System Summary and hit Close. It's gone. When I double click it again, it's completely anew. The charts start growing. They start graphing data from that moment on. Real time monitoring tool. There is historic data, and I'll show you how you can get at that, but it's not primarily accessed in this utility. So if you go to the processes section, this is like your task manager without the ability to end a running process. You can see all the processes that are running on the system and what percentage of CPU utilization they're consuming. So if you want to see, right here, Tomcat web server, that is consuming 4% of my CPU usage. So it's like task manager, allows you to see what's bearing you if you are running low on your CPU usage here in this chart. The disk usage, this is where I'll probably see some pretty ugly statistics. Right here, common partition usage, I'm right up around 96%. So I've virtually used up my partition that I allocated for call manager, and it's okay, lab environment. Critical services. This is critical services. It's funny, when I first saw this I was like, this has Linux written all over it. I've used free utilities for Linux to monitor Cisco devices, and I saw this little picture. I was like, that reminds me of, I think there was a tool called Big Brother, is that what it was called, where it would do pings to your devices and let you know if they were online. So the little heartbeat monitor, as you can see, is good. The service is up, it's running. I scroll down and it looks like just about everything under the system menu is running. The Axle web service I have not activated. And same thing when I go to the call manager tab. I see there's quite a number of services. The DHCP monitor, directory synchronization, all those I have not activated because I'm not using them yet. So the heartbeat and not activated is good. You want to see those. Anything in red is usually bad. It means the service is down or stopped in some way, and it's where you want to get into the menu in Call Manager and get it back up and running. So you can see as I go through it, as I'm opening this, it's opening up different tabs that are constantly running, constantly seeing what's going on. One thing I want to make sure I mention is I've shrunk this window down to 800 by 600 to fit in what you can see, but you don't usually run it that small. So if it seems cramped, it is. It's meant to run in a lot bigger space, but it does work in something that's small. So now we jump down to this performance section, and this is where you can find anything you want to find. I'm smiling as I'm about to hit this plus sign. Brace yourself. This extracts every major area, every service on the call manager, and then gives you a million counters underneath each one to see what you want to manage, or what you want to monitor, I should say. If you've ever used Performance Monitor in Windows 2000 or NT, you can be quickly overwhelmed with counters. Same thing here. Check this out. I'll expand Call Manager. It's like, whoa! It's just a massive amount of stats and data that you can look at. Calls active. I'll drag that. Shows how many calls are currently active in my cluster. Calls attempted. Right over here, I've got currently 0 on each one of those. Not much action happening in my cluster. Let me kind of shrink this down, and you can see as I drag these. Please shrink down. Okay, maybe I won't shrink it down. Somewhere there's the ability to shrink it down. Okay, you can see it right here, right? Right now there's no calls active. Let me reach over to my phone. I'm going to grab extension 2000. I've got a little IP communicator here. I'll grab 2000 and dial 2005, which is the phone right next to me. So that one's ringing. Let me move this over. And I'll grab this guy. While that guy's ringing, go ahead and answer the call there. On this guy, I'll put hold, new call, dial 2006. We can see my IP communicator is ringing. There's not much action happening. Oh, right. The calls active is currently none because I don't have anything going on. But you can see the calls attempted going up. Sorry, I've got phones ringing. I'm trying to track where I am right now. There we go. All right. So I've got the call off hook. You can see it's updating itself here. It takes time for these things to update, but I'm wishing that calls active would definitely bounce up because I do have a call active in my cluster right now. But nonetheless, you can see I'll come back to that. I'm going to come back to that and see if that updates itself. You can see that this is a performance monitor for everything. And you can drop down in this list, and that was just for Call Manager. I can expand the extension mobility, show me how many requests has been handled. You can build your own little custom chart here of exactly what you want. I can right click, I can set alerts on them. This is meant to be, as it's entitled, the real-time monitoring tool. I can have it running, just minimized to my tray as things are happening, alerts are popping up, and so on. So, performance monitor. I'm still very bothered right now by this guy. I did not have a call active. I had it on hold. Resume. Am I resumed now? You gonna update me? Ah, there we go. See, it's not broken. It was just on hold. I had a call on hold. It wasn't active. This is performance monitoring unplugged. Thank you. Now we go to the performance log viewer. So what I have here, this is your historical information pane. Now this is the real-time monitoring tool. It's not really meant for historical information, but there is times where you might be working with Cisco TAC, and they might say, "Hey, send some historic data over to us." Let me show you how to get that for them. So I'm bringing over my Call Manager 6.1 server right here into the window. This is just the general administration, CCM admin, right there, where you do all your administration from. So I'm going to go in here and go over to the System menu, shoot down to Service Parameters, which I always call the lost land of parameters. It's pretty much everything Cisco couldn't figure out where to put somewhere else. I'll select my server, choose my service. Now the service I'm looking for is the RIS Data Collector. This is the service that allows you to collect information of essentially performance data of your cluster. RIS stands for Real-Time Information Server. So this is essentially a real-time information server data collector to log historic data. So I'm going to scroll down here, and you can see that right now the enable logging is turned on to true. Now this is really version dependent on the Call Manager. Some versions of Call Manager will have it off by default, some will have it on by default, but this is just logging performance data in the background. So you're on the phone with Cisco TAC, and they say, "Hey, we would like to look at your performance data for your servers and your cluster. Can you send that over to us?" You would say, "Sure." You would, of course, come in here, make sure that logging is set to true. This does add some overhead to your cluster, so you want to make sure that you limit how large of a file size you have. You then go over to the, the real-time monitoring tool. Come to this performance log viewer, say I want to collect the real-time information service, DC performance monitor logs. Choose your Call Manager, and you would hit open. Pops up and says, okay, we've been logging to the CSV file. Last time it was modified was 5:53 p.m., which was exactly 1 minute ago. So it's active, it's logging right now. So I hit open file, and what it's doing right now is it's going to import that file into the performance log viewer. Now it takes quite a while. I'm not even going to wait for it. But once you do, you'll be able to see, general historic performance chart data. But the main thing that you'll do in here is save that downloaded file. You see this grayed out box right here? Save that downloaded file to a local file, and then go ahead and email that off to Cisco. They've got all kinds of tools that they can look at that and say, whoa, your memory usage is way out of whack. You got to reboot or add more memory or whatever the case may be. So you can see my tabs are numbering up here, and I've got to prove it to you. My call's active, still 1, right? I've got the phones off hook. I'm going to hang these phones up. Look at that, real time monitoring tool drops down to 0. So you drop down here to the Alert Central. We're now down into the Tools section. The Alert Central is where you can set all the alerts for your cluster. And you can see it's highlighted right here. This one's firing. It's firing constantly, letting me know my partition high watermark is exceeded. Essentially, I'm out of hard drive space. When the alert fires, by the way, down here you'll have this little, oh, it went away, that little exclamation point that flashes for a little while. That will let you know that you are getting alerts, and it's logging it right over here to the little history area. So if you want to go in and adjust those, you can clear the alert, say, okay, I trust, it's good. I've seen that. If I know I'm out of hard drive space and I don't want to see it, I can disable the alert. But I can also go in and set all the alert properties. This is where I can go, and notice it's a little mini wizard. Gives me a description of why this alert would fire. You can see disk space has exceeded the configured high watermark. It says this is severity warning. These are the syslog levels I mentioned in the last nugget. So you can set what severity is, hit next, comes up and says, well, what level do you want to be at before this alert fires? And right now it's at the max, so I'm not in a good place, as you can see. It's at 95%. So once my disk space usage has gone to 95%, I'm triggering the alert immediately. And you can see you can also set values if it's over the threshold for 60 seconds or 90 seconds. Those are good for, if my number of active calls exceeds, 50 for 60 seconds, then I want to know about it because that's too many for this cluster, and those kind of things is where you can set the timer. Hit the next button. It says, when do you want to trigger this alert? Do you want to do it every single pull, meaning every single time this system pulls and says, whoa, you're out of hard drive space? Or do you want to say, only when you've had this number of alerts in this many minutes? Obviously I'm getting pegged with this thing every about 5 minutes or so as it's pulling. So I might say, only tell me once a day. Or only tell me from this time to this time. And I can set whatever triggers I want on that. And then it says, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with this alert when it happens? And you can see that I have my default action, which is nothing, meaning it's going to alert me in here, but I'm not going to send an email. So I can click on Configure, and I'll say I want to add an action list, which is really just saying, let's add an email group. That would probably be more accurate, but maybe they'll have other actions in the future added here. We'll say this is alert email. Description, email everyone. And this is where I can go in and start adding my emails. The email the call manager, admin at company.com. Enter. Let's add in Jeremy at company.com. You just keep going through and saying these are the emails that I want to send. Click on OK. I've now added alert email. Click on it. That is my action, and hit close. Well, I guess I didn't have to click on it. Here, I click on it, and now I've got the alert email comes up, and I can type in my own little user-defined email text. I don't know why this always pops into my head. Fire in the hole. I used to be. This is probably 4 years ago. I was. Have you guys heard of that game called Counter-Strike? It was part of the Half-Life, the Half-Life first-person shooter series. Anyway, I had a friend from Missouri come down and stay with us for a week, and we got into Counter-Strike, just killing each other. And anytime you throw a grenade at each other in Counter-Strike, the guy yells, "Fire in the hole!" And of course, there's guys everywhere. You're throwing grenades left and right. So my wife, anytime she needs my attention, she's like, "Jeremy, can you grab the kids?" And I'm like, and she goes, "Fire in the hole!" And so I'm always running, trying to get. Anyway, that's my story. So fire in the hole. There's an issue. I'll click save, and that's now saved as this is the action that's going to take place. Now, of course, that's not going to go anywhere if you don't go into your. I believe it's system. See, where are we? Alert. Yeah, there we are. System menu, tools, alert, and we've got config email server. I got to make sure the real-time monitoring tool knows what email server to send this to. So this is where I can come in and say my email server is such and such. Whatever my email server name and port it's going to receive emails on. Click OK, and now when this alert fires, it's going to send off alert emails over to the email server, and they all go to those folks' inbox. So I can set up alerts in this area for anything that I want. You can see I've had a couple more alerts fire. Number of register media devices increased, and that's good. In this case, this is an alert that's firing because I added phones to my cluster. I needed to demonstrate that active call. I needed a couple phones, so I plugged them in. They became active. It shows, number of registered phones drop. That was at 49, 56. It increased, so I must have plugged and unplugged a phone. And so it's you see, these alerts are good. They let you know what's going on, but they can get out of control. So it's going to take some tuning. You're going to get in there and set up. Or whatever tuning you want. Notice you can also create custom alerts as well. If you have specific areas that you want to monitor from that performance tab and say, when this level hits this, go ahead and. So that's alerts. That's what the alerts are all about. Now you can see my little tab down at the bottom. It's getting just out of control with tabs. So I'm just going to right click on that, hit close all windows, and now I'm back to the base. Now what I want to do is take a closer look at trace files, because trace files are a big deal. They are your true nitty-gritty troubleshooting area. When your normal tools don't do it, and even your not so normal tools do it, usually trace files are the last resort. I will be the first to admit that, just because they can easily overwhelm you. They're like debugs on a Cisco device. So in our real-time monitoring tool, we have this Trace and Log Central. And what that does is allow you to, let me shrink that down a little bit, allow you to either gather logs remotely using this remote browse system, or collect files and download them to the local computer to where you can analyze them, you can email them, whatever you want to do with them. So let's first off look at a remote browse system. And actually, while that's loading, I'm gonna generate some data here. I'm gonna pick up my phone and just this is extension 2005, and I'm going to dial 2000. All right, 2000's ringing. Lifted up the handset, talk for a little bit. Hi guys, how you doing? All right, goodbye. And so now we have a call in our trace files that we can analyze. I'm going to hit the next button and jump over here. Let's analyze the call manager service for all servers, and you can see you can focus in on just one server if you want to look at that, but you can trace every area of the call manager system, whatever you're having trouble with. Hit next, and then within the call manager service you have all these sub-services. Now I'm just going to save us the time of digging into all those and just say select them all. Let's grab trace files from them all. Hit finish, and it's going to pop up. And this is remote browse system, so right now it's gathering data from the remote server. It's going to pop up a kind of a directory listing, if you will. You see our nodes right here. You see call manager home.local. Double click on it. It's doing a little query execution. Remote browse is ready. So I expand that out. You can see CCM, there's my call manager, expand it out. I've got my SDI trace. And remember, these traces, in the previous video, we enabled the traces in call manager. If you don't have them enabled, you won't get any data here. But I'm going to double click on that SDI trace, and you can see right here is my trace file. Click on that, and you can hit open with, and I have my Cisco generic viewer, or I can open with some other program. I use the Cisco generic viewer. It's pretty slick. It's kind of like a WordPad, if you will. But now you see why people don't like traces. There is all kinds of stuff in here, and you can. Well, I'll start right here. We've got the date and time. You see 040209. That's today, and it's about 6:10 p.m. So that, and actually right now I'm looking at the clock. It's about 6:40 p.m. I got to go eat dinner. So I'm gonna scroll down, right around. All right. So we've got okay, 6:35. So there we go. That's probably where somewhere around here is where my action occurred. That I made my call. Let's see if I can find any of that in here. So we've got, okay, so let me give you kind of a clue of what we're looking at. We've got the date right there, the time right here. You see station D. That'll be one of two things typically when you're in. I'm talking about looking at a phone here. Station D is when the call manager is talking to a phone. If it's the phone talking to a call manager, it'll say station in it. Let's see if I can find some of those. So these are all call manager talking to the phone, call manager talking to the phone. Again, this is like a debug. You're weeding through a lot of junk. I'm looking for some station inits to where I can see the phone initiating something, because that's probably going to be the start of our call once I find some of those. Jump back. Okay, there we go. We got a station in it. So this is coming from, and notice I'm looking through. It was at 6:35, 45 seconds. We've got the IP address of the station right here. The device, this stands for SEP. It actually stands for Celsius Ethernet phone. Don't be tricked. I've heard a lot of people say that stands for SIP Ethernet phone. No, it's Celsius, SEL, not Celsius as with a C. I won't embarrass myself because I'll probably misspell Celsius. But that's Celsius. That's the company that Cisco acquired to get into IP telephony. They didn't actually create IP phones and all that. They acquired a company called Celsius. So there's your Who Wants to Be a Millionaire trivia. So Celsius Ethernet phone, and then here's the MAC address. So that's the MAC address. So I'm guessing station in it. We're somewhere near the end of the call right now. So let's go back a little bit more. Okay, so we've got station init coming from the phone right here. And let me expand a little bit more. So we've got the node ID. Again, this is the call manager IP address right here. That's the call manager I'm running. This is the IP address of the phone. This is the MAC address of the phone that I can see right there. You can see the port, and you'll always see this behind it. You'll want to know what that is. That is actually a TCP handle. It's kind of like a little alias for the TCP session. So that will be the same for the whole TCP signaling session between the phone and the call manager. Let me go back a little bit more. So we've got, okay, here I'm getting some useful information. So station D, so that's the call manager talking, saying calling party name. This is coming from extension 2005. That's the phone I called from. So again, we're still, see how much junk gets logged in here? That's somewhere in the list. Okay. I think I'm not even going to waste my time going through this with you. Hang on, let me pause the video. Okay, I found it. And by the way, I'm purposely looking at these painfully in the generic log viewer just to show you, when I show you the other tool I'm about to show you, just how much better it is. So you can see, I've scrolled back. I was down here when I paused the video. I had to scroll back quite a bit. Notice the time, still 6:35. So look at this, 1 second, right? 6:35. Let me just kind of make a mental mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 pages down, I'm still at 6:35. So all this is a second here. We're breaking down a second of logging. So let me go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the reason I started here, see if I can find it, was because somewhere around here I saw station init. We've got the station initiating a connection. Right there. There we go. Station off hook. So we've grabbed some info. The station, that's where I lifted the handset. So station is now off hook. The call manager says, okay, please send the signal. So somewhere in here is dial tone is going to happen. So station off hook. Turn the ringing off. We're not going to ring anymore because the station is off hook. They're dialing. Speaker mode is 1, which is on. So we've turned on the speaker of the phone, which is actually the handset that I lifted. And then right here, okay, line control. This is, again, notice station D. These are all call manager telling the phone to do something. And then, okay, state of call, state of transition, call state 1, line instance 1. So this is all, you see, station output text. Don't really need to send any output text. I'm trying to get to the point where we're dialing. So, okay, potential matches, none. So, as of right now, we've got digit analysis saying we don't have anything going on. Oh, wait. PLV, digit analysis, match, fully, okay, calling, okay, so calling number, okay, right there, calling number is 2005. That's the person I thought I dialed. So right here, DD equals, that's dialed digits equals nothing. I have yet to dial something. Don't worry, I am purposely going through this in a painful way, and then I will show you the other one. Okay, there we go. Notice, digit analysis. So, station init right there. Station did something. Notice keypad button 2. The station dialed a 2. Station D, so the call manager received it, sent some transition message, changed the soft keys on the screen because you just dialed a number. And then right here, it says, okay, dial digits are 2, so we're doing digit analysis, and it says potential matches exist, but it hasn't sent the call yet because there's too many potential matches. So I go down a little bit, and we've got now station init somewhere in here. Okay, well, let's just find this one. Digit analysis, we've got 20, so I dialed a 20. There we go, dial digits 20. I continue on. So okay, I'm done. You get the point. It's painful. 200. I'm dialing 2000 is the point of this trace. And there we go. Aha. Dial 2000. Digit analysis results. We've got a match. So now it does this little report. There we go. There's our nice little columnized report saying, okay, calling party number 2005, dialed 2000, gives all the information. Voicemail box of this. What we consumed and so on. So you can see. My point here is it's very painful to analyze things in the plain text, and that is why now I can go back here. Cisco has provided the Cisco Voice Log Translator. The Cisco Voice Log Translator is, I'll call it a quote-unquote free tool, as in included with your CCO login and SmartNet contract that you can get from Cisco. You have to dig for it, so I want to show you where it's at. This is Cisco's voice download area. As of right now, it actually gets moved around. It's under IP telephony. Go to call control. And we've got our call manager, also known as Unified Communication Manager. You choose your version. I'm running version 6.1. So I click on that. It comes up with all the downloads, and right at the bottom is Cisco Voice Log Translator (VLT) software. It's a little executable file that downloads. You can integrate it and install it as part of the real-time monitoring tool, or you can install it as a standalone system. So you can see right here, I've got my voice log translator. I installed it as a standalone version. So what I can do, I've got some trace files saved on my desktop, and actually before I even go there, let me show you how I got them. Get out of here. So I'm at the remote browse on the remote cluster. Instead of doing remote browse where I view them in this system, I can go to collect files. And what that does is the same kind of screen that we saw before. I'll say I want it for my my call manager server, hit next. I want it for all service, hit next, and it comes up and says, okay, what time frame do you want that from? And I'm gonna be real specific. I'm gonna say let's do 6:34 to 6:35. There we go. So let's do 6:36 just to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm trying to grab a smaller slice of that trace file to get just that phone. It says, okay, how do you want to download this? And I'll put download directory will go onto my desktop. Let's put it in a folder called let's do CBT trace. Hit open on that. So I'm putting in that folder. I do not want to zip the files, and hit finish. And what it's going to do is it's grabbing, you can see collecting the files in process. So it's collecting all the files, and then it's going to download all those files. It's probably just saying, hey, for that limited of a time frame, we don't have any of these log files for these services because they don't exist. It was too limited. So it downloaded the files. Don't worry about that. Ignore that error. It's okay. So it downloaded all the files to my desktop, and now I can go to my voice translator, open it up, and I'll say go to the CBT trace. Created that folder. Here's my trace file area. Call manager. Let's go to trace. Buried in the call manager directory. SDI trace, and there's my file. Hit open. And what it's doing, where did I go? There we go. Is it takes that log file. Oh. Can't you just breathe easier looking at that? We've got right here, here's the log file that it grabbed, and we've got all of this data in here. That's funny. It's got some 610 data in there as well. But what it will do is, let me scroll down to 635. It's like it almost does a big jump. I wonder why. Maybe it just didn't have enough data in there. So what it does is I've got this file, and so 635 right here. We've got media path event that happens starting from this guy. So off hook. Notice I went off hook right here. Now notice it says message translations. Right now it's simpled. Oh, check this out. You click it on detailed. It's like of course, nothing. Okay, I'm going to keep it on simple so I can have a little ooh and ah, right? So it says set ringer. So it says ring mode 1, and this is what it does is it's formatting those trace files into a nice readable format. It shows, up here from this IP address going, it goes off the screen over here, what MAC address and all that. But notice when I click over to detailed, okay. It's not okay. It's impressive, right? It gives you a good description of what it's doing. So it's translating ring mode. Okay, it's not very descriptive here, but as I scroll down and start seeing more of this, it says speaker mode. Okay, speaker mode on. So here's the idea. I took it off hook. It turns the ringer off. The phone will no longer ring. It turns the speaker on, so now I can start hearing some dial tones. It turns the lamp on. Okay, now it's a little more impressive, right? You see mode 2, STIM 9, STIM inst 1, but I expand that and it goes, okay, lamp mode 2, which turns the light on. Device stimulus, turn the line on, stimulus instance, it's just saying for line 1, and then it says call state, and now you can see where the details really comes in handy to let me know what each one of these are. Expands it out and says, okay, we're now off hook, line instance is 1, here's the call reference. Some of these things don't really matter to us. It says select soft keys. So this is changing the soft keys on the screen as I go through. Start tone. So right here we've got dial tone going on our phone. Keypad button. Notice right there, beep. That's where I push 2. Stop the tone. Stop playing dial tone. Whoa. Further. Change the soft keys. Keypad button 0. So notice I dial 2 right here. Between there, it stops the dial tone, changes my soft key. I hit 0. I hit 0. And then I hit 0, and it says, okay, aha, dialed number, I've got it. So I've got the full dialed number is 2000 that I dialed from the phone. Call state, and I'm done. You can see the rest of this. That's the beauty of this voice log translator is I wanted to show you the pain of translating it in raw text, and then show you how handy this is, because you don't appreciate this tool until you see how it is in raw text, and then you see how much this cleans it up. Now, I showed it to you in raw text for a reason. When you are in the real world, I'll start there. There are times where you won't have the voice log translator, and you'll have to look at them in raw text and kind of muddle through it just like I did to see what's going on. Also, for you guys preparing for the certification exam, be prepared to look at traces and be able to analyze them in the raw text. There is no outside of knowing what it is, you probably won't see the voice log translator tool on the exam because it makes things too easy. It's much more difficult to look at it in the raw text. So I want you to know, when you see station init, what's that coming from? When you see station D, what's that coming from? That was the call manager talking back to the phone. What's that TCP handle that you can follow through the whole session? So all those things are valuable to know to be able to read a trace file in the raw. Good. I am glad I took the time to go into our gathering troubleshooting information part 2, or what I'll call the unplugged version, to really see the value of that real-time monitoring tool. Those were the major areas I wanted to talk about. We can go into more, and I will go into more as we get into some of the other nuggets. As we can get into the syslog viewer. Look, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. I'm going to go in. You can use this to view your syslogs on your server. Pull them from there. It's like a little mini Kiwi syslog viewer for your Cisco Call Manager, where you can see all your log messages. So there are other things, and this is if you've got the voice. The tool we just saw, the voice log translator tool, plugin installed, it will pull it up in here as well. So there are other things that you can do with it, but more on that later. I wanted to give you a view of that unplugged. Also, a closer look at trace files and that voice log translator that formats it so nice and easy. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.